Welcome back, Guardians. In today's report, we will discuss the most daring, agile, and shifty amongst us, our brothers and sisters, those regard themselves as hunters. Humanity owes its original survival and expansion to hunters. Prior to cultivating crops, humanity was organized into various tribes of hunters and gatherers, and the hunters typically carried the most influence within that tribe. In today's age, hunters are master stalkers and prospectors, still motivated by the glory attained through the daring feats of bravery and putting oneself in harm's way. Typically, hunters are headstrong, supremely confident, and incredibly potent warriors on the battlefield, but not all hunters share such noble attributes. And perhaps for the right reasons. Some of the worst legends of perversion by the darkness comes from hunters, as if the true predator in them is constantly being restrained. By the end of this report, you will ideally have a quality guide to those shadowed and hooded individuals, and a better representation of all Guardians. But to start, we should explain the history of hunters and the most famous among them, in an attempt to provide a quality narrative for their ethos. Some of you may remember the infamous Dredgen Yor and his saga with Shin Malphur and Jaren Ward. And it's almost impossible to forget the Hunter Vanguard mentor, Cade 6, who is only in his position on the Vanguard table because he lost a bet to one of his dearest friends, Andal Brask. The untrustworthy and the darkness perverted Eris Morn and the betrayed Pahanin are both hunters as well, or were, depending on your definition. To be fair, there are many more hunters than the ones we've listed, but their stories should provide you with an understanding of what it means to be a master stalker, to dare the unknown, and to seek the greatest of treasures. The saga of the Thorn and the Last Word, iconic hand cannons that stereotypically define a hunter's gunslinger and cavalier attitude, are full of disturbing and outright toxic events of individuals pushing too far in the name of their own personal legend. The infamous Dredgen Yor, or Raziel Azir as he was once known, came from a time when Guardians did not signify themselves as a Titan, Warlock, or Hunter. They were more simply protectors of the city. It's only after time, and as the story has been passed from word to mouth to written text, that we attribute Dredgen Yor to being most closely linked to being a hunter. Yor was once a famed Guardian, a veteran of the faction wars and protector of human refugees. He saw the first Fallen arrive, and he met them with the cold tenacity of his auto rifle and hand cannon, which at the time was dubbed the Rose. His fall from grace would only be completed after years of exhausting warfare against humanity's enemies. Yor's greatest weakness, his Achilles heel, was the thought of his legacy, his pride, being lost. He feared that after countless years safeguarding refugees, seeing the walls be constructed around the city, and mentoring new Guardians, he would eventually be forgotten. Nothing more than a footnote, forever labeled as unimportant in our history books. His journey would take him to the moon to uncover the hive and prophecy that would ultimately turn Raziel Azir into the now infamous Dredgen Yor. Don't get me wrong, pride in one's work, a supreme confidence is a good thing, a virtue even. It's only when it is used against us and turned into a fear that it becomes a vice, and in Yor's case, this was his failing. Hunters to this day still embody both Raziel and Yor. Having pride is necessary to being confident in your abilities, and hunters, if anything, are the epitome of confidence. Yor would eventually fall to Shin Malphur, Jaren Ward's youngest apprentice, in a showdown of legendary hunters on Dwindler's Ridge. I've compiled all information on Raziel Azir, Dredgen Yor, Shin Malphur, and Jaren Ward if you'd like more information, and I recommend you read those reports, as they will give you a better understanding of how far some hunters will go to keep the namesake of their classification pure. But what of Cade 6, the nonchalant or seemingly uncaring Vanguard mentor for all hunters? His position, a direct consequence of losing the now monumentous Vanguardier with his close friend and now past, Andal Brask. But it is believed that Cade hides his true emotions behind this wall of stoicism, but deep down it's evident he truly does care. But he is, like many, an embodiment of hunters. He is independent, daring, and resourceful. His role, the Vanguard table, has not dulled his ability, but the certain tediousness of mentoring new Guardians and enraged arguments with Zavala has left him yearning to get back into the field with his fellow Guardians. Cade is also an XO, and as an XO, he seems to have some limited memory of a time before the collapse, supporting the theory that XOs were once human. Cade remembers that he was contracted by Clovis Bray. You see, during his human years in some unknown army for some unknown or meaningless government body, he raised a massive debt that could not be paid off in a single lifetime. And so Clovis Bray gave him the classic offer that only a fool would refuse: freedom from debt and a chance to start over. He remembers the ice moon Europa and the facility there used to turn humans into XOs. He remembers having a romantic interest with the Ishtar Collective's Vex researcher, Maya Sundaresh. He also remembers meeting a terrible, blackened thing that imprinted thoughts upon his mind that were not his own. Cade's attitude towards his position could be reflective of the hundreds of years of disastrous events he's witnessed, that in some sense he is a part of. As far as we know, all XOs came from or during the events just before the collapse, and that there are no new XOs being produced, at least for now. The betrayed Pahanin, the companion of the now lost Kaber the Legionless, was a hunter-inventor responsible for creating the semi-intelligent heavy weapon dubbed the Super Good Advice. Pahanin and Kaber would explore the wilds of Venus, and they both had an involved interest in uncovering the secrets surrounding the Vault of Glass. Unfortunately, Kaber would delve into the vault without his companion, and Pahanin would later be murdered by the infamous hunter Dredgen Yor. But Pahanin's story, although short and ended before its time was due, teaches us a great virtue all hunters have, that of companionship. That if a titan like Kabir and a hunter like Pahanin can find security in one another, it's possible that there is hope for all Guardians. The final hunter you should know of is Eris Morn, the hive, perverted, and mystic working as a hidden for Ikora Rey. Her story is that of immense loss, suffering, and survival. She became the very thing she wished dead, so that she may warn the city of the coming of Crota. I've done a more complete report on Eris Morn that, if you're interested, I recommend reading. But unlike the story of Dredgen Yor, forever falling to darkness and never seeking redemption, Eris seeks to signify herself as a hunter that did everything in her power to save us. And she, although at great personal loss, she absolutely did. Eris, as a hunter, teaches us that tenacity, an ability to never give in or give up, is crucial, if not a mandatory trait embodied by all hunters. Hunters may be cocky and arrogant, selfish and headstrong, independent and cunning. But the hunters amongst you have a potential to be so much more. They are our pathfinders, our explorers, our prospectors, our scouts, our survivalists, our leaders, and our friends. And while they may not trust the warlocks or grace the titans, they respect all. They protect the refugees, they watch the walls. They are the beacon of blinding light at the top of the mountain. If you have the chance to befriend a hunter or have earned one's respect, cherish that thought. Hold close that new companion, and together you will be able to champion any adversity, any hardship, any foe. Because they, like you, are Guardians. Walk tall. Hey everyone, Wally here. If you'd like to support the channel further, please feel free to check out the script link, my Patreon, and the new apparel in the Spreadshirt shop, all linked down below. If you want to join the conversation on our Discord server, we allow everyone in. Like the video if you enjoyed the content, and subscribe for more.